A very good morning to all. I would like to begin the day with a quote by Lady Diana. People think at the end of the day that a man is the only answer to fulfillment. Actually, a job is better for me. I'm extremely elated to welcome everyone to this panel discussion on women in media beyond the glass ceiling, which is hosted by the Department of English, Untitled Arts and Science College. Let us embark the day with a prayer song by College Choir. Welcome the present moment as if you had invited it. Why? Because it is all we ever have, said Pema Chardon. May I now invite Ms. Devika Prema, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to seize us all with the welcome address.
Thank you, Ketana. Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here for the panel discussion on this special occasion. Firstly, I would like to extend a warm welcome to eminent speakers for the panel discussion, Mrs. Vidyashree Dharmaraj, Editor-in-Chief of the Kovai Post, Ms. Indusha Raghunathan, Deputy Editor, Your Story Tamil, Ms. Parvati, Senior Sub-Editor, The New Indian Express, Ms. Nandini Velay, Sub-Editor, The Hindu Tamil Tisai, Digital Team, and Mr. Vijay Srinivas, Multimedia Journalist, Reuters, who will be addressing us in the later part of the session. Secondly, I'm elated to greet the Chairman, Chevalier Dr. N.R. Dhanapalan Sir, Secretary Mr. N.R.D. Premkumar Sir, and Joint Secretary Dr. P.R. Premchand Sir. We are excited to have you all here amongst us, sir. Thirdly, I extend a solicitous welcome to Madam Principal, Dr. Kamala Balakrishnan, and Madam Vice Principal, Mrs. Zafia Solomon. We are much moved by your sincere presence on this occasion. Next, I am greatly privileged.
Thank you, ma'am, for that warm welcome note. May I now request Madam Principal, Dr. Kamala Balakrishnan, ma'am, to address the gathering. Please, ma'am.
Good morning, all. I am very happy that Department of English is organizing this panel discussion, and I extend a warm welcome to all panel members for this discussion, and all the best team members. I'm eagerly waiting to hear your discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very
I'm
much.
sorry.
May I now request Mr. Vijay Srinivas, multimedia journalist at Reuters and mediator for today's panel discussion, to introduce the speakers of the day.
Okay, thank you very much. Harold, welcome. Thank you very much
Sorry
for
for the inconvenience caused. I
me.
lost my net.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you can proceed, sorry.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you very much for tuning into this special webcast organized by the Department of English Literature, Anna Violet College. I'm Vijay Srinivas, joining you live from Bengaluru, and we're going to discuss one of the most important issues of our times. Well, the topic is women in media beyond the glass ceiling. And in the next half hour, we'll be discussing a range of issues, including gender inequality in the newsroom, Me Too movement, feminist journalism, and many more. So before we get into the panel, let me take a moment to introduce my panelists joining me this Thursday morning. Firstly, Vidyashree Dharmaraj, and she's the editor-in-chief of the Kovai Post. She has also worked with some of the biggest brands in Indian journalism, The Hindu, The Indian Express, and The Deccan Chronicle. She has been in the industry for 20 plus years, predominantly with the print, and she had taken a digital plunge a few years back. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us. Pleasure to have you. Also on this panel is Indusha Raghunathan. She's the deputy editor at Your Story, one of India's growing online media platform that deals with tech, startups, jobs, and entrepreneurships. Indusha has been with the industry for more than 2 decades. She started her career with the media conglomerate Sun Network in Chennai, where she produced a program on lifestyle, health, society, and women. She has also covered the tsunami in the year 2004 and had worked as a producer for several state and parliamentary elections. Thanks, Indusha ma'am, for joining us. We've also with us is Parvati Bindu Benu, and she's the senior sub-com reporter at the New Indian Express. She covers education and politics. Parvati also comes with an experience of being the youngest US State Department professional fellow back in 2019. Thanks, Parvati, for being here. Also joining us is Nandini Velay Sami. She's the sub-editor at the Hindu Tamil Tisai. Nandini reports on environment, gender justice, social justice, politics, and art. She has always been vocal about pressing issues relating to women, and her body of work focuses particularly on the uplifting the lives of downtrodden women. Thank you very much, Nandini, for joining us. Thank you, each and everyone, for joining us on this panel discussion.
Thank you.
So, well, I want to kickstart this panel by asking you this. I mean, like, I just want to kickstart this conversation with Vidya ma'am first. And there is this wonderful saying that, that's kind of very popular on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, which is "future is female." When you get to see Kamala Harris becoming the vice president of the United States, or even when Deepika Padukone goes in solidarity with all those protesters in the Jawaharlal Nehru University, you get to see this "future is female" being trending on social media platforms. Do you think it's kind of really true, and this concept of future is female is going to be sooner rather than later? What do you think, ma'am?
Oh, yes, most certainly. First of all, let me thank Anna Violet College for having organized this program. And I think it is very imperative at this stage because this is a stage where women are coming up in all spheres of life. And thank you, Vijay, for having had me here. Vijay, I'm rather proud to say that he interned with us at the Kovai Post before he joined Writers. Having said that, yeah, so coming back to your question, I mean, there's no two other ways about it. I think women are at this stage kind of innovating, designing, they are doing everything that they perhaps didn't do earlier. And gender equality, I would say, is the sure shot way to ensure that, I mean, there are studies, there are researches which would say that even major issues like say global climate or poverty among nations, if that needs to be lifted, gender equality is a sure shot way. So I think women are so underdeveloped currently, or rather they are in the stage of developing. We have a long way through. So having that, I mean, with that being the case, I think there is no other way to kind of uplift women, ensure that she is uplifted. uh, so as to so as to ensure sustainable development goals. So how else would you, ensure a good future rather than uplifting women? Now, I think rather than be too general about this particular topic, I would like to focus specifically on journalism and my experience. What happens when when we go to colleges for placements is that I'm also saying this because I presume that there are students here. What happens is women or other girl students are very, very hesitant to become journalists. That is something that I've always wondered. Why? Because they kind of pass every stage rather successfully, much more rather better than boys. But what eventually happens is they don't join. And when our HR team kind of finds out, they say something like, our parents don't permit us to join. We need to be managers and we can't work after dusk. And or they have a kind of a misconception that journalism is risky, journalism is scary, journalism is could harm their family. I think all these misconceptions should go, because it is very, very important for more and more women to get into journalism, because only then that they will kind of highlight the issues that women face. And media being a mass platform, a platform wherein you could reach to a lot of people, I think it's very, very important for more and more women uh, to join journalism. Over to you, Vijay.
Thank you. So I want to get in a perspective from Parvati next. And Parvati, there is this gender inequality, focusing particularly on the topic of journalism. And gender inequality is one of those topics that's sort of widely spoken by a lot of female friends of mine, and who are working in the newsrooms. And according to a News Laundry report, and women just get a share of 27% of the bylines on the front pages of India's 6 national English dailies. And while the scenario is even bad as far as the broadcast is concerned, and while 15.7% of the prime time, women just appear on 15.7% of the prime time debates. Well, I mean, this is the Indian scenario, while the international scenario, particularly with the West, is also not all that great, but it could be better, where the men take away 62% of the credits across all platforms, which is the print, the broadcast, and the online media. So what do you think is the reason for this, and what has to be done to sort of deal with this, considering the fact that a lot of people who actually get into journalism in the J schools, be it the IIJNM or the IIMC or even the Columbia or even the Northwestern, it's all women who are really interested in joining journalism. But at the end of the day, it's not really working out. It's not really reflecting as far on an industry level. What do you think is the reason, and what has to be done to deal with this? Pardon.
Okay, so before I answer your question, I would like to tell you that I work in a team which is dominated by females. Our editor is a man, but the team consists of 90% women, and there was a point when all the reporters were women. So this is obviously a very rare scenario, which is something that you don't see in a lot of newsrooms in the country. Also, I agree to the point that you said that most the byline share of female reporters in the country, that's very, very, very low. I would like to connect this with a few aspects of the Indian society, because so I went to IIJNM, one of the J schools that you mentioned. So 70% of my classmates were women, but you do not see a lot of them actually taking up mainstream journalism. Because when it comes to going out and reporting on issues, there are a lot of factors that a woman has to take care of. Because I've had people frowning at my parents for allowing me to go out and report or to come home late after an assignment. So recently there was an incident. I had to cross the district borders to go to the Kerala Tamil Nadu border to talk to the family of a rape survivor, and I was to go with a couple of sources that I made online, and uh, for some, I'm sure the situation would have been different for a man. He can just get into any car that he finds and go. But for me, I had a lot of things to consider. I had to make sure that my parents are safe with me, parents are okay with me traveling, and I constantly share my location with everybody. So to get the kind of support system that is very important, and unfortunately not a lot of women journalists or women journalism aspirants in this country have that luxury. Again, being on your own and being completely independent, that is wonderful, but not everybody can afford to take that up. But that being said, it is very important to have more and more women in our newsrooms, because nobody understands a woman's issue more than a woman, especially when it comes to, and I'm sure you're touching up on Me Too as well in this panel discussion, especially when it comes to reporting on sexual harassment. It's always, it's women always have that advantage of, being empathetic and understanding the situation. So, increasing the number of female reporters in Indian newsrooms, that is the key to solve the issue of gender inequality in our society or in the world.
All right. So, well, I would also like to get in a perspective from Indusha Raghunathan as well. Indusha, ma'am, what do you really think, and to what kind of steps got to be taken in a newsroom to deal with this gender inequality, and what do you think is the reason, and what has to be done?
Thank you for this opportunity, Vijay and Anai Violet College. So actually, I would want to share my experience, and then I want people to understand what gender inequality is. It's not just with respect to media. So I feel in every field, it has to be a few women or one woman who has to take that first step ahead, and then slowly start getting other women getting into it. Why I'm telling is that, like you in your introduction, you said I started my career as a television journalist some 20 years back. So as you all know, today we see a lot of women reporters, a lot of women anchors, a lot of women editors, including me, Vidya. We're all editors now. But back 20 years back, when I joined a very prominent television network, out of 10 reporters, it was probably me and one more girl. We were as young as 20-year-old. And I still remember when I attended the interview and I said, I want to become a reporter and I don't want to become we had female working inside the newsrooms then. It was mostly about with some producer, a very little amount of producers or anchors. But on the field, they were actually skeptical to actually appoint us, because they didn't know that whether we would be physically able to take up the challenge, because television journalism is very tough, I say, even today, because like you said, I had covered tsunami and many more disasters and elections. It is the thing that we need to run behind the cameras, we need to run with the mics physically on the field. So there was a bigger misconception that women can't do these. So this was the first challenge I had to face. So I had to convince my editor that yes, I can do it. It's just another job, and I was so passionate to become a reporter, and I had to prove it with my work. So as the days went by, people in the newsroom understood that women could also become reporters on field, especially TV journalism. I could remember they were hardly 5 to 6 overall, I'm including the national, regional and everything. So then slowly, by seeing us, and I think those days we didn't have the opportunity to talk like this to other people so openly, so that we couldn't actually convince people to get into this, convince girls to get into journalism. But probably by seeing us, the kind of work and how we were able to do the same things much better than the men out there, and that is the kind of work will prove you to get into the next step, and that is what is going to bring in the gender inequality inside the newsroom. Because in every field today, we say that Kamala Harris is an example of becoming a vice president, means like every person has to take that step ahead to prove it. So, and also I remember that there are a lot of misconceptions that women reporters can't travel outside the city and cover things, because it is like we need to travel with the crew, because the crew members are often men. And so even when I used to go and fight with my editor saying, why you always send the male reporters outside for reporting? Am I not eligible, or am I not skilled enough to go? So they were always had that security barrier in their mind. They were slightly very skeptical about it. So we had to prove every now and then for every step that we need to take in. And once that is proved in our actions, only the newsrooms get convinced. So now I see after 20 years, there are a lot of women reporters. yes, of course, there are still there are very less amount of editors as women, as you said, as you pointed out in the statistics. There are very few women in the editorial heads. So that has to change. Only then we understand the real problems of women, and as well as include them. It has to be inclusive. I wouldn't say that being a women editor, I should only include all women. So it has to be more inclusive, and we also allow them to do what they want to do, to just prove them.
Thank you, thank you. So, as a follow-up question, I want to go back to Vidya ma'am again, and I remember I haven't come to Nandini Velay yet. I'll just come next. So, I want to ask you, Vidya ma'am, like, having spoken about the women journalists, women joining journalism, I think the idea of women becoming newsroom leaders has also become a Herculean task these days. No, but I think yes, we have a really some good amount of splendid journalists running news organizations successfully here in southern India, from Miss Tanya Rajendran to Miss Sandhya Ravishankar, and even you. And but still, the road for women to become newsroom leaders still remains a topsy turvy, sometimes even murky, and not just in India but across the world. And I would like to put out a very specific example for this. This happened a couple of years back, but it could have changed right now. But Jill Ambrose of the mighty New York Times, she's been the first female executive editor of the New York Times, and she had claimed, and she was later fired, and she had claimed when she was done that this she did her job pretty well in comparison to all those male, but then she was just not accepted by the people out there. So do you really think that what can be done to certainly change this? What kind of measures we got to make to sort of bring people inside, bring women inside, and make them the climb the ladder within the organizations?
Absolutely. Vijay, I think as far as women are concerned, especially those in the leadership positions, I think probably it's because there's no kind of, at the management level, they aren't confident enough that women can do better than men, or at least on par with men. So I think that's the kind of mindset that people have now. It's very, very difficult. I think women should go. I mean, if it's one leap for the men, women should at least take four leaps to prove themselves. So they should always kind of vie with the men, who are, there's always a constant competition. They have to vie with the men in all aspects to prove that they are much better. Now, for instance, when you even consider, women editors, sorry, the big newspapers and the big news channels, if it is family run, what exactly do you see? The men take over the mantle. If it's, the editorship, even there, if there's a woman there, if there's a daughter who's a woman, the daughter gets married and goes away. She never takes over the mantle. And I think this is more in the mindset, because perhaps the father who is who perhaps was the decisive, I mean, the person who takes the decision, felt that it is better for his daughter to get married and get settled, and the son take over the mantle. I think that kind of a mindset should necessarily change. Um, uh, I was reading somewhere that when you take the global scenario, Japan, which we always consider as a role model for everything, has the poorest representation of women editors, and South Africa, very, very strangely and surprisingly, has the most. So I think it is the mindset that needs to necessarily change. It's the fact that it is a fact. It is for sure a fact that women can do much better than men, and it's very, very important for them to come over this field, especially when I talk about media. It is very, very important, to have maximum representation there. Like I told you earlier, it is only then that you will have more number of stories relating to the issues of women get a proper display. For instance, let's just compare. If you have a male editor and then a female editor, and if there is an issue about, say, menstrual cycle, or about anything about sexual abuse at workplace, I think as a male editor, the display and the space that you would probably give, in such stories is much could be perhaps much smaller than what the women gives, because the woman understands the gravity of these kind of issues, whereas men don't understand much. So this is I think that should be a mindset change. There should be, people should understand that women can do on par with men much better. And for this, to start with, we need to necessarily bring in more women into journalism. As far as, like you said, India, it's still not enough. It's grossly to any other country. We need to bring in, primarily bring in more and more women into journalism, such that they rise up to this, to the leadership positions. Vijay.
Thank you, ma'am. And I want to get an opinion from Nandini Velay next. I think Nandini particular Tamil disayla neenga pieces படிச்சிருந்தீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு தெரியும். So the recent one that I felt was really extraordinary is நெய்தல் மாநகரின் மீன்காரிகள் காசிமேடு பெண்களின் கதைன்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு she has did a piece, and that's again and the recent one that she also did, which is the வறுமை எப்போதும் பெண்களின் நிறமுடையது மக்கள் தொகையும் கருத்தடையும் சொல்லிட்டு. So Nandini, you've been focusing on women issues, and your body of work speaks volumes. But I want to ask you, so casteism, racism, and other forms of discrimination, I'm sure that women do go through inside the newsrooms. And could you please throw some light on these? General, what do you think? And something from your personal life or anything that you've heard from other people.
Thank you. முதல்ல வந்து அன்னை வயலட் ஆர்ட்ஸ் அண்ட் சயின்ஸ்க்காக முதல்ல தேங்க்டேன். என்னோட எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் அப்படின்னா, நான் இப்போ இருக்கிறது வந்து ஹிந்து தமிழ் திசை. அங்க நான் இந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு டிஸ்அட்வான்டேஜ் வந்து நான் ஃபேஸ் பண்ணதுல ஒரு காஸ்ட் அதுக்கு வந்து நான் ஒரு இன்க்ளூசிவான ஒரு நியூஸ் ரூம்ல தான் இருக்கேன் அப்படின்னு நான் ரொம்ப பெருமையா சொல்லிக்கிறேன். பட் ரொம்ப ஆரம்பத்துல ஒரு 5 இயர்ஸா வந்து ஜேர்னலிஸ்டா இருக்கேன். ரொம்ப ஆரம்பத்துல ஒரு 3 இயர்ஸ் முன்னாடி நான் ஒரு டெலிவிஷன் சேனல்ல வந்து சப் எடிட்டரா இருந்தேன். அங்க வந்து இன்னுமே ஒரு சிங்கிள் உமன் நியூஸ் ரிப்போர்ட்டர் வந்து இல்ல அப்படின்றத வந்து நான் சொல்றேன். ஸோ அப்பவே வந்து அவங்க இன்னும், அதாவது நம்ம இப்ப எல்லா இடத்துலயுமே பெண்கள் வந்துட்டாங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம் இல்லையா, ஜேர்னலிசம்ல எடிட்டர் அளவுக்கு கூட நிறையன்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. வாய்ஸஸ் ஒரு பிரச்சனைன்னு எடுத்துக்கிட்டோம்னா அதுக்கு பலவித ஆங்கிள் அந்த பிரச்சனையை எடுத்து போறவங்க வந்து தான் இப்போ இருக்காங்க. அது வந்து ரொம்ப பெருமைக்குரிய விஷயம். ஆனா இப்பயும் வந்துட்டு ஒரு டெலிவிஷன் சேனல்ல ரிப்போர்ட்டர் வந்து கேட்டிங்க, ரேசிசம், காஸ்டிசம் வந்து நியூஸ் ரூம்ல கண்டிப்பா இருக்கும். பண்ணல அப்படின்றதுனால வந்து எங்கேயுமே இல்ல அப்படின்னு நான் சொல்ல மாட்டேன். இப்போ ஒரு டாப் லெவல்ல அல்லது ரிப்போர்ட்டர்ஸ், ஆங்கர்ஸ் எல்லா லெவல்லையும் இருக்கக்கூடிய பெண்கள் வந்து யாராங்க, நான் பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் சொல்றேன், நான் யார் இருக்காங்க அப்படின்றத பார்க்கணும். அதுல வந்து ஒரு தலித் உமன் வந்து எவ்வளவு பேர் இருக்காங்க அப்படின்றது வந்து ரொம்ப ரொம்ப கம்மியானதா தான் இருக்கும். இப்போ உமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட் ஃபேஸ் பண்ற விஷயம் மீடியால அப்படின்னு நம்ம எடுத்துக்கிட்டோம்னா, அது வந்து சோஷியல்ல நம்ம எப்பவுமே பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம் இல்லையா, அந்த எல்லா விஷயங்களுமே வந்து உமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்டுக்கு இருக்கும். இப்போ நம்ம இங்க வந்து காஸ்ட் இருக்கு, ரேசிசம், ஒரு ரிலிஜியன் சார்பான ஒரு ரிலிஜியஸான ஒரு டிஸ்அட்வான்டேஜ் இருக்கும். அதெல்லாம் இருக்கு இல்லையா. இப்போ சோசியல்ல நம்ம சொசைட்டில நம்ம என்னென்ன பிரச்சனைகள் நம்ம பெரும்பான்மையா மக்களுக்கு இருக்கு நம்ம பேசிட்டு இருக்கோமோ அதே பிரச்சனைகள் வந்து இருக்கு. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு இன்க்ளூசிவான, அதாவது ஒரு தலித் உமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்டோ இல்ல வேற வேற பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய, ஒரு ரூரல் பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய பெண்கள், ஒரு ட்ரைபல் பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய பெண்கள் வந்து மீடியால இருக்கிறது வந்து ரொம்ப ரொம்ப கம்மி. அதனாலதான் சில வாய்ஸஸ் வந்து எப்பயுமே வந்து எடுக்கிறதே இல்லை. சில வாய்ஸஸ் நம்ம அவங்களோட ஒரு ட்ரைபல் இஷ்யூ, ட்ரைபல் உமனோட ஒரு இஷ்யூ வந்து நம்ம எழுதுறோம் அப்படின்னா அதை ஒரு ட்ரைபல் உமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்டே எழுதும் போது அதுக்கு இன்னுமே வந்து ஒரு வந்து அந்த வாய்ஸ் வந்து எப்பயுமே இருக்கிறது இல்லை. ஏன்னா அவங்களுடைய சதவீதம் அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து ரொம்ப ரொம்ப கம்மியா தான் இருக்கு. கிராஸ் பண்ணி வந்த ஒரு 2 உமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட் இங்க நான் மென்ஷன் பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஒருத்தவங்க கவிதா தேவி, உங்களுக்கு எல்லாருக்குமே தெரியும், பண்டல்கான் ரீஜன்ல ஒரு ரூரல் உமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்டா வந்து அவங்க லீட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. அதோட மேகசின் பேர் வந்து காபர் லஹாரியா அப்படின்ற ஒரு மேகசின்ல ஒரு ரூரல் ஃபெமினிஸ்ட் பேஜ்ல லீட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க அந்த மேகசினை. அவங்க மென்ஷன் பண்ண விரும்புறேன். ஏன்னா டிஸ்அட்வான்டேஜான ஒரு கம்யூனிட்டில இருந்து அவங்க வர்றது வந்து ரொம்ப சாதாரண விஷயமே கிடையாது. நிறைய பேர் இருக்காங்க நம்ம பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம். ஆனா அந்த மாதிரியான பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல இருக்கும்போதுதான் நம்ம ரூரல் வாய்ஸஸ் வந்து நிறைய வரும் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அதே மாதிரி இன்னொருத்தவங்க வந்து ஜெயந்தி பரோடா, அவங்க ஒடிஷாவோட மால்கங்கிரி அந்த டிஸ்ட்ரிக்ட்ல இருந்து அங்க அவங்க வந்து ஒரு அந்த ட்ரைபல் கம்யூனிட்டில பெண்கள் ஸ்கூலுக்கு போறதே வந்து ரொம்ப அசாதாரணமான விஷயம். ஸ்கூலுக்கு போறதே வந்து ரொம்ப கம்மியா இருக்கும். அந்த ஒரு பேக்ல இருந்து அவங்க ஃபர்ஸ்ட் உமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட் அந்த ட்ரைபல் கம்யூனிட்டில இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க. சோ இப்படியான ஒரு இதெல்லாம் வந்து நம்ம விரல் விட்டு எண்ணக்கூடிய விஷயங்கள் தான். எப்படி இந்த மாதிரி பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல இருக்காங்க அப்படிங்கிறது நம்ம ரொம்ப ரொம்ப விரல் விட்டு எண்ணிரலாம். சோ இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு இன்க்ளூசிவ் வந்து எல்லா இடத்துலயுமே இருக்கணும். உண்மையாவே அது வந்து ரொம்ப சேட் ஸ்டேட்டா தான் இருக்கு. நிறைய இடங்கள்ல இருக்கிறது இல்ல. ஏன்னா இது வந்து உண்மையாவே மேல் டாமினன்ட் வந்து குறை சொல்ல ரொம்ப உமனுக்கு வந்து வாய்ஸ் கொடுக்கணும் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிற மேல் எடிட்டர்ஸ் வந்து இருக்காங்க. அப்படி இருக்கிறதுனாலதான் என்னால சில பீசஸ் வந்து நான் எழுத முடியுது. இப்போ நீங்க மென்ஷன் பண்ணீங்க அதுக்கு கொரோனா பீரியட் எடுத்துக்கிறேன் நானு. அதுல உமன் ஓரியன்டான நியூஸ் ஸ்டோரிஸ் வந்து எவ்வளவு பப்ளிஷ் ஆயிருக்கு, இங்கிலீஷ்ல இருக்கு, தமிழ்ல வந்து எவ்வளவு பப்ளிஷ் ஆயிருக்கு அப்படின்னு எடுத்துக்கிட்டோம்னா ஒட்டுமொத்தமாவே சில சர்வே எல்லாம் சொல்லுது இங்கிலீஷ், அதாவது உலகம் பூராவுமே அந்த லாக்டவுன் பீரியட்ல உமன் பத்தின ஸ்டோரிஸ் வந்து ரொம்ப கம்மியா இருக்கு, ரொம்ப ரொம்ப கம்மி அப்படின்னு சில சர்வே எல்லாம் சொல்லுது. சோ அப்படி இருக்கும்போது இப்போ நான் ஒரு சீரியஸா சில ஸ்டோரிஸ் பண்ணிருக்கேன். இப்போ ஜெண்டர் வயலண்ட் வந்து எவ்வளவு அதிகமா இருந்திருக்கு இந்த லாக்டவுன்ல அப்படின்றத பத்தி ரொம்ப ஆரம்பத்துல ஸ்டோரி பண்ணும்போது என்னால கன்வின்ஸ் பண்ண முடியுது, புரிஞ்சுக்க முடியுது. அப்படி பிரச்சனை இருக்கு அப்படின்றத புரிஞ்சிக்க முடியறதுனாலதான் நம்ம அந்த ஸ்டோரி பண்றோம். அது கொஞ்சம் நம்ம கன்வின்ஸ் பண்ணிடலாம் நம்ம நிறைய ஸ்டோரிஸ்ல. இப்போ நான் சொல்றது வந்து இப்போ ஒரு ரேசியலா ஒரு கம்யூனிட்டில ஒரு டிஸ்அட்வான்டேஜ் ஆன ஒரு பிரச்சனையை பத்தி எழுதுவோம். இப்போ ஒரு தலித் உமன் வந்து ரேப் நடந்திருக்கு அப்படின்னா அதை வந்து ஒரு தலித் உமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்டே அதை எழுதும்போது அது வந்து இன்னும் மோர் அக்யூரேட்டா இருக்கும். அது இன்னும் நம்ம பல விஷயங்கள் நம்ம அதுல தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். அவங்கதான் எழுதணுமா அப்படிங்கிறது கிடையாது. நிறைய எல்லாருமே சோசியல் பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல இருக்கிறவங்க எழுதலாம். ஆனா அவங்க எழுதும்போது இன்னும் நமக்கு தெரியாத பல ஆங்கிள் வந்து அதுல இருந்து தெரியும் அப்படின்றத நம்புறேன். ஏன்னா இப்போ நம்ம ஒரு செக்ஷுவல் அசால்ட் ஒரு ரேப் வந்து நம்ம வந்து ரிப்போர்ட் பண்றோம் அப்படின்னா இப்போ தமிழ் செய்தித்தாளை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் நான் சொல்றேன். இன்னும் நம்ம கற்பழிப்பு அப்படிங்கிற வார்த்தையை வந்து சில செய்தித்தாள் வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணுது, அது இல்லைன்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. ஆனா இப்போ பாலியல் துன்புறுத்தல், பாலியல் வன்கொடுமை அப்படிங்கிற வார்த்தைகளை யூஸ் பண்றதுக்கு வந்து இப்போதான் நம்ம வந்து வந்திருக்கோம். ஆனா அதையும் சில எடுத்துக்காத நியூஸ் பேப்பர்ஸ் வந்து இருக்கு இல்லையா? அப்ப அந்த இடத்துல உமன் கப்படுது. சோ உமன் ஜேர்னலிஸ்டா இருக்கும்போது அவங்களுக்கு அந்த சென்சிட்டிவான வேர்ட் வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கறது தெரியும். அதே மாதிரிதான் எல்லாத்தையுமே இது பண்ணும்போது அவங்களுக்கு வந்து பேக்ல இருக்கிறவங்க இன்னும் வரும்போது ரொம்ப முக்கியமா அது ரொம்ப இன்னும் வெளிச்சத்துக்கு வரும் அப்படின்னு நம்புறேன் நானு.
Exactly, correct. Thank you. Got your point, Nandini Belechami. I think she's actually saying that there should be, diversity within the newsrooms, and that's what she said. And I want to get an opinion from Indusha again. There is this, the Me Too campaign that has sort of, exposed the dark underbelly of Indian journalism. And I think, yes, it's been 2 years and it just really made a lot of waves across the world. So what do you think is the impact of the Me Too campaign? Do you think, was it really successful, just like how it has been in the West, in India? Indusha.
Yeah. So coming with specific to Me Too campaign, yes, it has opened, it is a Pandora box that has opened a lot of things out. And it has actually allowed women to speak aloud. Whether you can't talk about like whether it is successful or not. So that's not the idea behind it. I'm not sure about the West. I'm not talking about it. But generally, for the last, being in media, we have faced a lot of problems, issues for women. But we never had an opportunity to talk with other women. Probably we didn't even have time to discuss all these. That's how it was. And also, we didn't have somebody to actually rely upon and talk about this. Like already we said that generally women are very less in a media house, and so there wasn't any system like in fact even today I don't think many media houses have proper HR, so where we can go and talk about our issues. It can be with respect to anything, so leave alone Me Too. So when it comes to issues like sexual abuses or any other related things that's happening, so there wasn't any system around. So basically here it was Me Too that has actually woke up many young women, especially, who were actually scared to talk about many things, to talk these things aloud. uh, though legally it wasn't, many couldn't pursue it, but it was an eye opener for other co-women or other colleague or other youngsters who were about to come to the field. So actually, when there is something like this, you are free to talk about something. And yeah, I know there is a flip side of it also. But I would talk about, like, there is a forum that we run called Network of Women in Media, so where we discuss these issues even before it is actually branded as Me Too or anything. So we generally talk with other women colleagues, and we find out whether, irrespective of whatever media they belong to. So these are the forums that were already there, but still it wasn't in the, I mean, it was not to the public. So when something like Me Too came up, it was actually a real good platform for us to step in there and also invite women from across the country or across the world to talk about it. And when they share these things, everybody resonate their views. So we also, like, feel, even though some might not open up with these things, they at least have have an idea of what is happening around them, and there is something to fall back. So I definitely feel it has been a supportive system. Yeah, we need, it is a long time to take this further. So I'm sure, yeah, it has been a good campaign only for us.
Okay, Vidya ma'am, what do you think about this? And a lot of particularly when I think the coverage for the Me Too campaign in itself was kind of very sort of downplayed a little bit, particularly by the broadcast. It was new media that was going gung ho over this entire the Me Too issue, while the broadcast was little downplaying this concept. How do you see this as a journalist who has been in the industry for more than 2 decades?
Yeah, very much. Because I think if not for the new media, if not for the online news portals, I think Me Too wouldn't have taken this mammoth shape. So I concur with what Indusha was saying, and I would also like to add that post Me Too now. Those who the perpetrators, those who indulge in sexual harassment and sexual abuse at workplace are now kind of wary. Uh, what we see now, I think it would be a lie if a woman says that she has not undergone this kind of situations in her life. I think all of us would have. It is just that, if we were able to come out with it or we were not able to talk about it. Uh, During those times, during my times, no, we could possibly never talk about it because you had the stigma. And this happens mostly with the new entrants, the entrants who are kind of insecure. They want to hold on to their job. They think their promotions are important. I mean, they think that making an impression at workplace will take them a long way and all that. So it is those people that are kind of gullible and vulnerable and fall prey to Me Too. I think beyond a stage, when a journalist kind of matures in the profession and if she goes her way, sees a lot of things, she kinds of rather builds in the courage and the confidence, and she can be affirmative. Sorry, she can be assertive. She can put her foot down and say, "No, you can't do this to me." But what we're seeing now, thanks to Me Too, is that the men, the perpetrators, as I told you, are very, very wary, and they make it a point to talk to you over WhatsApp. And those men who used to send dirty comments, who used to talk about how the way you look, the way your dress is, and whatnot, refrain from doing that. Sorry, refrain from doing that or sending messages, because they know that in a world of technological advancement, you can just record everything and keep that and keep on. They are influencers. So we saw so many prominent journalists who fallen a prey. Rather, we know that MJ Akbar is still fighting in the court. So I think it doesn't matter how good you are when it comes to journalism. It is what you have in your mind, how you respect women, how you treat women in a workplace. I think the men should know that you cannot take they should know that you cannot take a woman for granted. You cannot harass her because of her gender, because of her sex. You cannot think that she is a weaker sex, and she will say with I mean, if you show the carrot dangling of say a promotion or whatever, I mean, she kind of yields to whatever you ask for. I think that's all this mindset needs to go. And for that, women need to be extremely courageous. They should just hit out and say, if not you, it's somebody else. I mean, I'm good at my job, I'm skilled, I'm competent enough. And if it's not you, it's somebody, I mean, if it's some other firm, and I don't need to do all this, I don't need to get to this level, for me to kind of achieve a place or space in this workplace. That's the kind of mindset that women should have. And yeah, Me Too has been very good in the sense that it has kind of brought about a fear among the perpetrators. That much I can tell you for sure.
Parvati, what do you think before and after Me Too? What's the impact that Me Too has created? What are you hearing from your friends and your personal, within your newsroom or anywhere else?
The beginning of Me Too, like back in 2017, when the Me Too wave hit the US. So since then, I'm sure a lot of us would have seen our friends or people that we know put up statuses with Me Too saying that, I have gone through this. So when the wave came to India in 2018, it has made a lot of significant changes, because people, to begin with, they were comfortable talking about, something that they've gone through, even though it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. People knew that it's high time that they should speak up, and there's no shame in it because they didn't do anything wrong. The person who's the wrong is the perpetrator. People became more aware of what ICCs are, and that there is a committee that you can approach. Then conversations have been normalized. The other not just journalists, but the common people also knew that they could approach media about these issues, and there is a platform for them to raise their voice. And generally, I've seen a very good trend, because people have become much more cognizant of their behaviors, and have been at least a few of them have been doing a rain check on things that they were conditioned to believe were normal. Just took a minute to think twice to see if that's actually correct, if they are offending somebody, or if they're causing any sort of issues to anyone through that. So obviously you cannot ignore the impact that the Me Too movement had in India and in Indian newsrooms in general.
Nandini, velay, Sami, Me Too பத்தி உங்களுடைய கருத்துக்கள் என்னவா இருக்கும்? சொல்லுங்க.
பெரிய இயக்கம் அது உண்மையாவே எல்லா.
Well, I think there is a little audio problem with Nandini there. I think we'll try.
எல்லாருக்கும் சொல்ல முடியாது.
Yeah.
இப்போ டெக்னாலஜி கேக்குதா?
Yeah, சொல்லுங்க.
இப்போ எல்லாருக்குமே ஒரு தளம் அமைச்சு கொடுத்துருக்கு. அவங்களுக்கு எதிராக ஒரு சட்ட போராட்டம் நிகழ்த்துறதுக்கு எல்லாத்துக்குமே ஒரு தளம் அமைச்சு கொடுத்துருக்கு. அது மிகப்பெரிய அதுதான் தனக்கு நேர்ந்த கொடுமையில போராட்டம் இது எல்லாத்துக்குமே ஒரு இது ரொம்ப பெரிய விஷயமா பார்க்கப்பட்ட ஒரு சொசைட்டில அத வெளியில சொல்றாங்க. எல்லா மேல்மட்டத்துல இருக்கக்கூடிய பெண்கள் எல்லாருமே அந்த பெர்பெட்ரேட்டர்ஸ வெளியில கொண்டு வராங்க. அவங்க அவங்கவுங்க துறையில அத பேசுறது மிகப்பெரிய விஷயமா பாக்குறேன். ரொம்ப ஆரம்பத்துல ராயா சர்கார அது மீ டூ ஸ்டார்ட் இந்தியால ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகுறப்போ நான் ராயா சர்கார ஒரு இன்டர்வியூ எடுத்தாங்க. அவங்கதான் அந்த லிஸ்ட் எல்லாம் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இந்த இந்தியால ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி வச்சவங்க லிஸ்ட்டை வெளியிட்டு அவங்க ரொம்ப முக்கியமான ஒரு காரணம், ஒரு பாயிண்ட் வந்து அவங்க சொன்னாங்க அந்த இன்டர்வியூல. தலித் பெண்களோட குரலும் வந்து அதுல வந்து கேட்கணும் மீ டூல அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க. அது வந்து ரொம்ப பெரிய உண்மை. ஏன்னா டெக்னாலஜி இப்போ ஒரு ட்விட்டர், அதை நான் வந்து அண்டர் எஸ்டிமேட் பண்ணல. ட்விட்டர்ல அதை போடுறதோ அதை நான் அண்டர் எஸ்டிமேட், ரொம்ப முக்கியமானது. ஆனா அந்த டெக்னாலஜி, அந்த அந்த ஒரு டூல் வந்து எத்தனை தலித் பெண்கள் கிட்ட, ஒரு ரூரல்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய பெண்கள் கிட்ட வந்து இருக்கும், அவங்களோட வாய்ஸை நம்ம எப்படி வெளில எடுத்துட்டு வரப்போம்? அந்த அந்த டூல் இல்லாத பெண்கள் நம்ம எப்படி மீட்டூல வந்து இணைக்க போறோம் அப்படிங்கறதும் தெரியல. இன்னுமே அவங்களோட வாய்ஸ் வந்து வெளில வந்ததாகவும் எனக்கு பெருசா வெளில வந்ததா எனக்கு தெரியல. அதே மாதிரி அந்த சமயத்துல தமிழ்நாட்டுல ராஜலட்சுமின்னு ஒரு 14-13 வயசு இருக்கிற ஒரு பொண்ணோட மீட்டு, ஒரு பெரிய ரொம்ப பெரிய வாய்ஸ் வந்துட்டு இருக்க ஒரு சமயத்துல ராஜலட்சுமின்ற ஒரு பொண்ணோட வந்து தலையட்டி சொன்னாங்க. அதுல ஒரு பாலியல் துன்புறுத்தலும் இருந்தது. ஆனா நம்ம அந்த பொண்ணை பத்தி நிறைய மீடியால வந்து வந்தது. பட் ரொம்ப அது நம்ம பேசிட்டு இருக்கிற ஒரு மெஜாரிட்டேரியன்ல நம்ம பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம் இல்லையா, அந்த வாய்ஸோட இந்த பொண்ணுக்கு நேர்ந்த பாதிப்பு வந்து வெளியில வரல. சோ இந்த மாதிரி மீட்டு இயக்கம் வந்து ரொம்ப உண்மையிலேயே மிகப்பெரிய இயக்கம். அதுல இந்த மாதிரியான தலித்கள் எல்லா விளிம்பு நிலையில இருக்கக்கூடிய பெண்களோட குரல் வந்து ஒலிக்கணும். முஸ்லிம்ஸ், ரூரல் பேக்ரவுண்ட், எல்லா விதத்திலயுமே ரொம்ப பின்தங்கிய நிலையில இருக்கக்கூடிய பெண்களோட குரல் வந்து ஒலிக்கணும் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
Well, I think thank you, Nandini. Well, I want to go back to Indusha again and ask her what kind of policy changes that you think should be brought within the media organizing women and considering the issues of pay gaps, women's security, and future opportunities. Indusha.
So actually, I was trying to browse something and get some details. So I'll just read out that. So according to the Gender Gap Index in 2020, India has slipped to 112th position. In the year 2018, it was 108th, and now it has slipped to 112th position. And according to this report, it says that India will take close to 100 years to bridge the gap in areas like politics, economy, health, education, media, every media. So there is actually we are going back. I don't know why. So we need to take this really seriously. So it says that the gap is getting wider than we actually expected to get closer. So regarding the policy, I think there are different policies, I mean bills passed. But again, when it comes to the media and newsrooms, as I said earlier, I still see many media houses doesn't have a proper even HR system, proper employment basis. So it is all like still shallow, and nobody is questioning. I always often wonder that the media that is questioning questioning the society, the politicians, the government and corporates, but doesn't follow the same. Yeah, it is a very unfortunate situation. But as far as my company is concerned, I can proudly say that yeah, we have all the system under place. In fact, regarding gender, I would like to point out that we even have transgenders in our company working, and we have a separate policy for them, and we have a orientation where how they need to be addressed, and from the restrooms and everything. So this is the kind of inclusiveness that every newsroom, because that's what every media house preach others, right? So I think it is high time that media should first be the front runner to follow these things, whether it is there in the bill act, that is aside, but what we say we should practice. So once the media houses have this inclusiveness, it can be for women, it can be for transgenders, like Nandini pointed out. Yes, it is not just women, it has to be inside the women, it has to be inclusive for Dalit women, women from rural. So everything has to come into place, and I think media is the place where they need to take this step first. So I think the stats are not very good to see, but we need to keep on emphasizing this. I think women forums are again and again voicing these out, and yes, we have these kind of maternity leave benefits, and now there are period leaves and all that. But I think that's not that's alone is not enough. So there are a lot of other issues that women face inside a newsroom, And security aspects, I think it is still very, very far ahead for women inside newsrooms when they work in the night shifts. And I don't know what kind of security many organizations provide when they cover disasters like these rains, floods, and everything. I'm sure that is for all, both men and women. So all these things needs to come into place, and we need to keep voicing it out.
Thank you. And I would like to ask Parvati next question. Parvati, how do you see journalism in the age of feminism? We came to discuss about feminist journalism. So do you think this alone, but also to be feminist journalism?
Sorry, Vijay, could you repeat that? I think there was an
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, now, how do you see journalism in the age of feminism? Do you think it's important for the women journalists right now to not just be journalists, but also to be feminist journalists?
It's not just for women. I think everybody, all journalists should be feminists, because feminism at the end of the day, it's nothing but you're advocating for equality, because men and women, they are they are very different, but yet they are equal. And it is the duty of every journalist to advocate for equality, for feminism, to make sure that, our news, not just our newsrooms, but our society treats everybody equally and not discriminate somebody, or just assume that, just because they're a woman, they cannot do this thing. And just take the entire concept out. I mean, why do you have to think that way? If somebody is skilled at a particular, if something is somebody's forte, hire them. They're good at it. Do not make their gender a barrier. So yes, feminism is something that all journalists, or in fact everybody, should advocate for.
Thank you, Parvati. So, well, I think as a final question, I want to get in suggestions from all those journalists. Let's start from Indusha first. And I think, could you please tell us some suggestions for all those young girls who would like to take a plunge into journalism, pursue journalism in the coming years? What would you say?
Say that we have all done this when there are hardly any women. I think I'm sure that it's easier for you. We are all there for you to help, and there are now system in place. We have different women forums that will handhold you, and with any issues, I think this is high time that like already everybody pointed out that we need more women in newsrooms, not just for women to take up the career, but to make a change in every other aspect, like inclusiveness, everything from the headline to everything. I think it has to be more women in the newsroom. So you can just come. We are all there.
Okay, Vidya ma'am, what do you have to say?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, it's my personal experience, and it's very disappointing that you just don't get. I think it's been 6 years, and I think you've spoken about this earlier also, Vijay, that whenever we go to colleges for placement, you just can't find women coming out to take up journalism. So I think, yeah, they should come forward. They should understand that journalism is just another profession, just like other professions, and there is nothing to fear. You don't. I mean, I think it's only a matter of time that you can kind of get your parents to sit with you and explain to them why this is very, very important, how it is going to make a change, not just in a small level, but you know, at a wider, at a larger level, the kind of change that you will bring in as a journalist. And I think the newsrooms are changing, the leadership positions. Like if I could become an editor, I started from the scratch. I just started as a staff reporter in Indian Express 20 plus years back, and I have reached this stage. So I think there are a plethora of opportunities, options. It's just that you need to kind of grab it when you get it. And the only thing that you should be fixated upon is that I want to make a change, and I want to bring about a change, and I want to work for the betterment of women. I think if that's in your head, ingrained, I think you will grab the opportunity and make the best of it.
Nandini Velachami, what do you have to say? Like, young women who want to join journalism in the coming years.
இப்போ இந்துஜா மேம், வித்யா மேம் சொன்ன மாதிரி தான், உண்மையாவே ஒரு இன்க்ளூசிவான நியூஸ் ரூம் வந்து இப்போ நிறைய இடங்கள்ல வந்துட்டு இருக்கு. அவங்களே உருவாக்கிக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இப்போ இந்துஜா மேம், வித்யா மேம் அவங்க எல்லாம் வந்து அவங்களோட நியூஸ் ரூமை வந்து மோர் இன்க்ளூசிவா ஆக்கிக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஸோ இந்த சமயம் வந்து நிறைய பேர் ஜேர்னலிசம் இருக்கேன்னா இன்னுமே அதை நான் வந்து அதை என்னோட ப்ரொஃபஷனா பார்க்க மாட்டாங்க. வெளியில இப்ப கேக்குறவங்க வந்து நான் என்ன பண்றேன் அப்படின்னு நான் சொன்னேன்னா, அப்போ வேலைக்கு என்ன பண்றீங்க அப்படின்னு கேட்பாங்க. ஸோ இது ஒரு வேலையாவோ அதை பார்க்காத ஒரு சூழல் வந்து இருக்கு. சொசைட்டினரியோ வந்து மாறிட்டு வருது. ஸோ ஜேர்னலிசம் படிச்சுட்டு பிஆர், ஹெச்ஆர் அந்த மாதிரி ப்ரொஃபஸர் அந்த மாதிரி வேலைக்கு போகணும். அது நல்ல வேலை இல்லை அப்படின்னு சொல்லல. ஆனா ஃபீல்டுக்கு வரணும் அப்படின்றது வந்து ரொம்ப முக்கியமான விஷயம். அப்பதான் நம்ம இன்னும் ஒரு உமன் பெர்ஸ்பெக்டிவ்ல எல்லா இஷ்யூஸையும் கவர் பண்ணணும். மேல் டாமினண்டா இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு ஃபீல்டுல நம்மளோட வாய்ஸ், நமக்கான வாய்ஸை நம்ம எழுப்பணும்னாலே நம்ம நிறைய பேர் இருந்தாதான் முடியும். ஸோ கண்டிப்பா எல்லாரும் வரலாம். ஒரு சேஃபஸ்ட் இன்க்ளூசிவான ஒரு நியூஸ் ரூம் வந்து எல்லாருமே சேர்ந்து அமைக்க முடியும் அப்படின்னு ஒரு நம்பிக்கை இருக்கு.
Your words, Parvati, for the young and aspiring girls who want to join journalism.
So it's nothing impossible. It is obviously like all of us are here. There's so many other women also here. So, I think things have, it's a great thing that your college itself has organized a discussion this way, because when I was growing up and I was aspiring to be a journalist, I never got to meet a journalist until I went to the Hindu for an internship. This is in the second year of my college. So whenever you get an opportunity, interact with women in media, you can always reach out to me. And I'm sure that the other panelists will also be open to helping you out. Then talk to people, get an idea, and always remember that you are in this field to make a difference. You're not here for money. If your priority is making money, then journalism is not the field for you. Also, be aware of what's happening around you, and it's definitely, it is a field for women, and more of you must come up and should be confident enough to convince the people around you, and also create your own comfort zone, create your own support system that will push you ahead.
Thank you very much. Thanks to each and every panelist who joined this Thursday morning. And well, that's a wrap of this edition. And if there are any questions, maybe the MC can probably ask directly to the concerned panelists. And well, I think that's about it. Over to Ms. Kirtana. Yeah.
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you to the moderator and to all the speakers for giving an extensive view with all your personal experiences and sharing the audience the valuable, informations. Not only to do with media, but also how important for all the women to come out and work. Thank you. We have a few questions from audience. The first question: how feminism is portrayed in media? I'll repeat one more time. How feminism is portrayed in media?
I think anyone can take this question. I think Indusha can probably take this question. Indusha, if you're interested. I think you're on mute right now, so yeah.
Let Parvati tell. I thought she was vocal on it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Parvati, please, yeah.
Well, I don't know what you really mean by what is media's portrayal of feminism, but I think broadly the duty of media is to when it comes to topics like feminism, is to educate people and let them know that it's not male bashing, it's not undermining a gender or a sex, but to essentially tell everybody that everybody deserves equal opportunities in whatever field that they go to. And the media obviously has a greater role to play here. And because as journalists, we've all of us have been trying to write more stories of women achievers or achievers from minorities, from underrepresented communities and castes and races and genders. So yes, I mean, I see a very hopeful wave of journalism going around right now, and I hope we'll reach a better place soon. Fingers crossed.
Thank you, ma'am. Here is the second question. How to tackle the underrated representation of women in media. How to tackle the underrated representation of women in media?
I think we've already discussed about that with gender inequality. So is there any
Yes.
other question that?
Yeah. So what's the most important challenge that women face in media today? What's
Well, I
the
think
most important challenge that women face in media today?
I think we again discussed about this as well. So we had a long discussion on this, the gender inequality and the challenges faced by women. If there are any other questions, maybe we can certainly go forward.
Yeah, sir. Yes, yes. Yeah, what's the amount of contribution the women journalists are allowed to give during the time of natural disasters?
Okay,
I'll repeat one more time.
yeah.
What's the amount of contribution the women journalists are allowed to do or give during the time of natural disasters?
I think Vidya ma'am can take this question. So women
I think,
during natural disasters. Yeah.
yeah, I think there are many women journalists who are ready to report during natural disasters. For instance, um, Kowai Post and me personally had, I mean, I have extensively covered various natural disasters, be it in Tamil Nadu or in Kerala. I don't know why we always bring this discrimination. Rather, what men can do, women can. I think that's it. That's period. So why can't women cover natural disasters when men can? So I think, yeah, barring issues like a place to stay, and in fact, I remember me and Ms. Uma Sudhir from NDTV. We had covered the natural disaster, the earthquake at Kerala, I think a couple of years back. The only issue that we probably had, floods rather, the only issue that we had was it was very difficult for us to kind of find a place to stay. Barring, we didn't have any issues. We engaged with people who were suffering. We engaged with people who lost lives, property, or rather, the kit and kin of people who'd lost lives, people who'd lost their property. We did cover that extensively. It was aired in Kowai Post's footages and interviews were aired in national channels. I think there is nothing that stops you if you have a kind of perseverance. You are confident that you will be able to do what it requires. I think it does not require anything else. There is no question of gender whatsoever. uh, Something that I would like to add on regarding your first question didn't make much sense though, but feminism, like Parvati very nicely put it, feminism, women who or other journalists who speak about feminism are looked upon as arrogant. They are looked upon as uh, I don't know. I have seen so many people use crass words and disrespect women who speak about feminism. I think people don't have an idea of what feminism is all about. I mean, something that we are striving for, and something that we are fighting for, is gender equality. Simple as that. Why does the word feminism even come otherwise? What you give? I mean, the kind of privilege or the kind of opportunity, the kind of access, the kind of place that you give a man in life, you should give a woman as well. That's all feminism is all about. I mean, making a big thing about feminism and then kind of uh, pushing women to a corner and saying that she will speak like that only because she's a feminist journalist. I think that's a very crazy and a very narrow kind of thought process. This is all that we require. We require gender equality, and we require to raise as many women as possible in society. So that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I think
ma'am.
Vijay is running short of time. We can take one more question if there is any
Okay.
questions. There are
Yeah.
questions.
Why Indian Parliament is staying to pass 33% reservation for women?
Okay, so I think Indusha can you take this question, please?
This is always a debatable topic when every other party comes and we take it up as discussion. I think as women, I mean, this has to be more talked about all women across across the country. And I think these are the things that we need to keep in mind while we vote also, because that is, I think it is only always been a debatable topic, and it is not become the topic of contention when it comes to elections. So I think there is nothing like, it is very clear, evident that it is just for vote politics, and whenever every party stands for election, they use this as their campaign material. But again and again, it stands as a pending block. So I mean, I don't want to get into politics for this, but I think it is, again, it's the responsibility of each and every woman who is asking this question, and the women in the media, women in across the thing, across the life, and also the women politicians who generally voice out for women's rights, to actually get this done in action. And I hope again this becomes a reality soon.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
So thank you very much. Actually, I think that's the so wrap up of this edition. And thank you. I would like to thank each and every panelist who joined here, Vidyashree Dharmaraj ma'am, and Indusha and Parvati Benu and Nandini Velay. So we had a little problem with Nandini Velay audio, but thank you very much for what you have said, for your perspectives. And and thank you, Untitled College for putting me here, as also special thanks to all those people who have joined from the city of Chennai amid this cyclonic storm. And thank you very much. Yeah, over to Kirtana ma'am. Yeah, you can just go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Before we move to the last part of the session, there is an announcement for participants. A feedback link has been posted in the chat box. The participants are requested to fill in before leaving the session. I'll repeat one more time. Feedback link has been posted in the chat box. You are all asked to fill in the form, please. Gratitude is the most exquisite form of courtesy, said Jack Marician. I now invite Ms. Rennie Moll, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to present the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Kirtana. A graceful and cool afternoon to everyone. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Almighty for helping us to complete this program successfully during this pandemic and cyclone. I thank our chairman, Chevalier Dr. N.R. Dhanapalan sir, our secretary, N.R.D. Prem Kumar sir, and our joint secretary, Dr. P.R. Premchand sir, the principal, Dr. Kamala Balakrishnan, and our vice principal, IQAC coordinator, the head department of English, Mrs. Jafia Solomon, for organizing this panel discussion and for their constant backup. An event like this cannot happen overnight. It requires meticulous planning and execution. I extend our most sincere thanks to Mr. Vijay Srinivasan, multimedia journalist, for helping us in organizing and for his enormous support. And a heartfelt thanks to all the eminent guest speakers. Ms. Vidyashree Dharmaraj, Editor-in-Chief of the Court Post, Ms. Indusha Raghunathan, Deputy Editor, The Story Media Limited, Ms. Parvati, Senior Sub-Editor Reporter, The Hindu News Express, Ms. Nandini Velay, Sub-Editor, The Hindu Tamil, for gracing and sharing your findings and opinions about women, and also about the opportunity for women in field of journalism. And I hope many youngsters would have inspired by this panel discussion. And thank you for joining with us today. I specifically thank coordinators and staff in charge of the program, who has been a backbone for this panel discussion. And also, I would like to thank all our technical staff members who worked behind and helped us to make this event a great success. Last but not least, I thank all the heads of various departments, staff members, participants from various colleges, and all the students. Thank you all for showing your interest by attending this virtual panel discussion and making this program a